All right. All right, all right, all right. We're here again today to draw more comic panels. And draw more comic panels we shall. I thinking of the way to put this. I'm like not in the best of moods. I feel like I've had a pretty crappy week. I feel like I've had a pretty crappy week. And it got to stream time and I was like, I really don't want to stream. I really don't want to. But I'm like, dude, you're already behind. Just get it done. Just get it done. Just do it. So here I am. So energy might be a little low. I won't lie. It might be a little low. And I might talk a little bit about how crappy my week has been. But I mean, overall, I'm all right. I am happy to be drawing. And we're gonna be making this big panel, at least today. If we finish it a little early, maybe we'll work on some of the others. Probably won't finish the second page. Definitely not, but we will work on this a little bit. Let me adjust the music slightly. All right. What were we working on exactly? I think we had just finished Forbes' line, right? I think so. Yeah. So then we have some of the speed lines, which are going to be a little bit unique to work on. Well, not these ones here. These ones here. Because there are a few that we want to like we don't really want it to go out this far because the eyeballs here. And really we might even want like a secondary, or I guess a third set of speed lines for the eyeball itself, which I didn't really think about. A lot of motion going on. There's like 3 different sets of motion. So we're gonna get at it real quick. But this is gonna need a lot of curves here. Let's see how we can make it work. So if you were hanging out last stream, you would have known I had an art market. And I'm just gonna come right out and say it. It didn't go very well. It did not go very well. I really wanted it to go well, and it did not. And I've built a lot of my channel off of being honest and trying to be motivating. Honesty first is that it's gonna be hard to make that motivating. It's gonna be really hard to make that motivating because it's demotivating for me. That's just the simple reality of it all. And I think there's too many lines. That one can stay. And I don't think the market was bad. I don't think that at all. Like, there was a decent turnout. There was, that moment with, like, the pole dancers, I guess, which, like, my only real critique of it, I have 2 critiques, okay? Because it did seem a little, like, not super, like, I think most of the people there were into it. I had a booth next to a very young girl who looked like she was like underage because she had a parent or guardian come in and help her set up. And normally I'm like, good for you, like, to start doing something that you love so early on in your life. Like, that's amazing. You know, you're really pushing, you're really trying, and that's really admirable. Okay. But then I'm seeing, like, the pole dancers, like, down the way, and I'm like, you're not, like, doing it for any particular nefarious reason, but it maybe still isn't the most appropriate show to put on, where they have let in what might be an underage booth vendor, or yeah. So, like, I don't know. That felt really weird to me. And again, I didn't ask this person. Maybe they were like 18 or something. I don't know. They seem pretty young. But that part felt a little odd to me. You know, but aside from that, the only thing I didn't really like about it is that the event was 5 to 8. Okay, and that was the same time that we were given for vending. And so to me, I'm like, this is a short event. It's 3 hours. Okay, I'm not really going to be here vending for that long. And then for 1-ish hour, you've basically taken the audience away, all the like shoppers away, to go watch this show. And so in my head, I'm like, the people there probably did really enjoy it, and like liked what was going on. As a vendor, I was kind of like, well, for the small amount of time that I'm already here, you're already kind of pulling people away from shopping and from the booths. And so to me, I'm like, I know the point was kind of like a fundraiser thing, but I'm like, yo, I'm already having a hard time making money. Like, you're pulling people away, you know? So I didn't love that part of it. And I feel like if you have something where it's like, it's live entertainment that's like constantly going, it's a little different, because people want to come in and see and then like leave later and then come back later, or, you know, they can kind of come and go as they please. But because it's like, oh, hey, everybody, we're about to do this thing, like, everybody's gonna leave and then go watch this thing. You know what I mean? So that felt a little bit odd to me. But in general, like, the market, like, pulled in a decent amount of people. And so I think I might make like a full-length video on this eventually. Because I don't know, I just want to be real about it. You know, I said many times that I would share my experience, and I haven't for every single market, because it genuinely has just like not been that good. But I think it's important to share that a little bit. And like, my own data is not enough to come to a full conclusion, but I have a lot of theories on what factors are affecting my lack of sales. And to put it very briefly, I guess, really quick, I think the economy is in the dumpster. The economy is in the dumpster, whether or, like, this is just an apolitical thing, okay? Like, I don't care what side you're on. The economy is not doing good. Okay, and so like any kind of money that people have to spend is not typically going to like things that many people would consider frivolous, like art. And even when it comes to art, I think what people are then prioritizing are really small, cheap things, like less than like $3 cheap. Like, they're looking for $1, $2 things. And like, I thought my stuff was cheap because I have $4 stickers, but it's not really cheap enough. And then they're also prioritizing something that's like, it has a function, like wearables, like jewelry, or I'm gonna get rid of the storyboard real quick so you can kind of see this a little better. like wearables, crocheted items, you know, things where it's like, oh, well, this is a shirt I can wear, or oh, this is jewelry I can wear. And I'm not saying that those places are immune to the slowdown. I'm sure they're also seeing it and feeling it. But I think if your stuff is marketed towards the middle class, lower class group of people, which is to say not people who have like $10,000 to just throw away on anything, then you're probably feeling a slowdown. I think people who are fortunate enough to be able to mark their stuff up to five digits or more, so 10,000 plus, they're probably not feeling it as much. That's my theory. Ooh, that's not the direction I wanted that line to go. And then I think also on top of it all, I have people who give my art compliments. But I think a lot of what I do like might be pretty weird and like different. And I do think like everybody's telling me like I don't think it's your art that's the problem. But what I am noticing is like even though people do, when they do stop and look at my artwork, they might say some really nice stuff, even if they don't buy it, which is the majority of people. They will say something nice and then they just won't buy anything. And that's not, I'm not like upset by people doing that. Like I understand. I have done the same thing at art markets. I will see something that I like, but I'm like, I can't buy this right now, or I don't want to buy this right now. And so I'll just say something nice and be like, oh, I love your stuff, and then browse a little longer and leave. I get it. So, you know, most of the time when that happens, I'm just like, hey, thanks for looking, you know, have a good day, whatever, enjoy the market. And I think that while that might be true that some people do like my artwork and just don't want to buy it, I just notice a huge amount of people that will just walk by. I feel very invisible sometimes because, and I get it, not everybody has to stop at your booth, but I have literally been in rooms with like less than 5 vendors and seen people who will just like start hitting every single vendor, stop and talk to every single vendor, and skip my booth entirely. And like, I'm not, it sounds so paranoid. It sounds so like, well, dude, like, I don't know, not everybody's gonna do that. And it's like, yeah, I get it. I get that, like, not everybody's gonna stop. But the amount of people that I see, I'm like, this is more than 50% of people who just entirely not even, they'll glance and then like walk away. And again, I'm not offended by somebody glancing and walking away. But when you notice more than half of the people that show up to an event are doing that, I think you start to go like, why? Why are most people not even interested to stop? You know, I can't stop every person and be like, hey, give me a quick rundown on why maybe you didn't stop and look at my stuff. You know, I can't do that. That would be pretty weird. But that's just to say that, like, everything I'm about to say is a little bit of speculation, okay? Because I have no concrete answers. And again, my little piece of data is not enough to draw a serious conclusion, okay? Because it's a sample size of 1, all right? But here's what I will say. I think a lot of weird art like that, stuff that's unique, that maybe other people would consider original. Comment I've gotten from a lot of artists and other vendors is I don't see stuff like yours, around. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. But then also I think that means that because it's unusual, people don't know how to interact with it or don't want to interact with it. Hear that voice crack? So like, I think people see something that's cute and they're like, oh, I understand cute. I like cute. I go see what the cute thing is. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of vendors that like, I'm again, not trying to put anybody down. I'm not trying to like say that I deserve more than anyone else. But I think when you put one vendor next to another and they sell near identical stuff, and one simply has better presentation, better packaging, maybe their art style is just slightly better, I think we know like who the majority of people are going to buy from, right? It just having little things, I think as an art vendor, if you've done art events, you know that they matter. Like doing small things in your presentation, in your artwork, like it does make a big difference. That's why some people, when they find some level of success, usually there's just like one standout item that's like, this is my best seller. This thing does really well. What I am saying is that I will see people who maybe don't make the same kind of art that I do, but their presentation isn't where mine is. And maybe their like not their art style, because again, the art style is totally different, and that then sets them apart from me. Then it makes them much less comparable to me. But at least in their practice, I can see where I'm like, okay, so they're maybe like late beginner, maybe they're early intermediate, and with what I'm able to do, I could do something like that, maybe a little cleaner. And again, I don't judge people that way. But when I have to analyze the art markets and how people are doing, I go, well, regardless of their skill level, they're still getting more people to their booth. And so, like, again, that doesn't matter. I think it truly, like, your skill level in art markets doesn't matter as much as you might think it does. It certainly makes a huge difference. Like, if you are really, really good at what you do, you're gonna get people. But if you're not that good, but you're decent enough to make something cute, you're still gonna get people over there. So that being said, I will see people that are, again, not comparable in art style, but in terms of art skill and maybe presentation, I might supersede them a little bit. And they're still gonna get a lot more people to their booth. And what I notice is that most of the time that is true, what they're pushing is cute. It's cute stuff. People love cute stuff. And so I look at that and I go, well, I could make cute stuff, but I don't make cute stuff. Cute stuff doesn't interest me. Like, drawing cute stuff doesn't interest me. I might buy a cute sticker here and there, maybe, but like, I don't care for drawing cute stuff. That's not what I do. And the stuff that I normally sell, because again, it's not these comics that I'm selling, it's entirely different. And if you want an example of what that might look like, the latest video on my channel kind of shows that a little bit better. But what does multiple curve look like? I don't know. I'm doing multiple curves, but it seems like there's a lot of inactive ones, right? Yeah, I don't really know how it works. I don't know how that one works. I'm just going to stick with what I know, which is the parallel curve. Okay, so back to what I was talking about. I feel like with the way things are right now, if I want to make it, I have to change what I make. And I don't want to change what I make. Now, I'm willing to compromise a little bit. I'm willing to go like, okay, so this is what is selling out of my stuff. I need to lean in this direction. I get that. I'm not willing to completely change everything that I do and everything about what I do. I feel like I have to retain some of my style. I have to retain little bits and elements about what I do in order to enjoy it, because really the ideal is that I make money selling my artwork, not selling artwork that I don't like. You know what I mean? So like there's a reason to maintain what you like doing. It's not just like it's not just like I'm refusing to change what I do because I don't know, for some prideful reason. Like I think that it's just gonna make me unhappy to make stuff I don't like. And I've kind of gone down that path before where I make something that I don't like as much and I make money doing it, but now I hate it because I'm not making money doing what I wanted to be doing. So that being said, I think, and I'm hopeful that this is true, because if it's not true, then the only thing I can really think of is that people don't like my art and don't want to buy it, and that's a hard pill to swallow if true. But you know, again, I get a lot of people saying that, oh, it's not your art, it's not your art, it's not your art, and it's hard to believe that. But you know, erring on the side of listening to those people, I think the economy is the biggest thing right now. People just like don't want to be spending money right now. Understandably. I get it. I don't either. So like getting people to buy your art is a really hard thing to do. Can I delete this now? And then how do I like turn this one back on? I don't really know how you do that. I would love to just like swap back over to this one. I don't know how it works though. How does it work? Nope, that's not it. So all that stuff being said is that I have one more art market on the 21st. And then there's one art market that I'm trying to get into around here. It's a big deal, but they're getting a lot of new vendors applying, and so they're going to let in more vendors sooner rather than later. So I'm going to apply to that until I can get in and do that one. And really, if that one doesn't go well, I'm done. I'm done doing the art markets. Maybe in a couple years' time, I pick it back up and try again. But yeah, I have a hard time going like, this is worth my money and this is worth my time, because the truth is, I'm kind of hemorrhaging money, like applying to these art markets, paying the booth fees, and then just like seriously getting like almost no sales. Even when there's a decent turnout, you know? And when I talk to people who, you know, that I know that are also doing these art markets, I'm getting the vibe that their sales are not what they used to be. Their sales are not that great either. So I'm not even saying that like the people who are doing the cutesy stuff, the stuff that people really like, are doing amazing. They're just simply doing better, which is to say, they are selling a few things. So I think the reality of what I'm trying to express here is that like it is simply not the time. It is simply not the time. And maybe like the economy has been in a worse spot since like, I don't know, like a really long time ago. Oh, that button turns it on. Okay, cool. Now I know. So that's kind of the reality of that. Now, how do I make that motivating? Because that is a big part of my brand. Here's what I will say. Because I've talked to my friends, I've talked to my wife, and they're all like, holy shit. They're like, holy shit, dude, he's quitting. And I think in some ways, because like, I'll be real, I've been frustrated. I've been like very, very frustrated with this because my expectation going into it was like, I hope that after a few months of doing this, I can break even. And the reality is I've just sunk myself into a deeper hole, which I'm like, what the hell? That's insane. That is insane. Because I already had like really low expectations of how well it could go. So the fact that it's actually much worse than it has been, and I think historically, at least amongst friends, I'm not a person that quits. I'm not a person that gives up. And I think a lot of people look at me in my friend group as like somebody who's perseveres regardless. In fact, like if you if you go to my stream starting and you look on the right side, it says persevere on there, because that's a big part of like my personality, is that I've had horrible things happen in my life, and I genuinely believe that if you persevere regardless of the fact that things are not going your way, you will be a better person because of it. You'll find your way, and it's really hard. It's really hard, but like my own personal experience has shown me that like you have to keep going. You have to keep going, and in spite of everything, you can succeed. You know, I do believe that. And of course, you have to be a little smart about how you approach it, but I think it's possible for sure. I really do. And so when they see me quit, when they see me go, I'm done doing this stuff, it's not worth it. I think people are maybe like a little bit shocked because they're like, oh, like he failed. And I think, it's a fair assumption to say that, but also I think it's just the fact that like it's not the time. It's not the time. You know, it's opening a business in 2008. It's not the time to do that. It's not going to work out. And so me trying to make this thing happen and then going, I'm not going to do it anymore. I do feel a little defeated, but I don't take it as a sign of like I have failed. I think that I have put in as much as what is reasonable to put in, because I've put in my own personal money. I've put in a lot of time. I've put a lot of thought. I've done a lot of research. I've been very critical about my own stuff. And like I can acknowledge right now that even my booth, like it could be better. But the things that I could do to make it better, I think are it's marginal. It's very marginal to like make it. If I make it that much better, man, like I just don't know that my sales are gonna be increasing by an amount that's worth it, you know? Because the truth is that like if I want to break even, I have to sell like over $2,000 worth of merchandise. I have over $2,000 worth of merchandise. I do. But I have to sell that much in order to make my money back and just kind of be at a break-even point. And so if I want to upgrade my booth or something and make it better by adding another like $200 worth of upgrades, which I can do, and it probably would increase sales a little bit, but I think that little bit is simply not enough to get me over any edge in the like I think maybe I could get like $100 out of that, which maybe would only pay for half of the booth upgrade, you know what I mean? So like it's not worth it to do some of that stuff. I think where my booth is at right now is already at a pretty acceptable level, you know? Like I think it's in the mid tier. It's in the like the lower mid tier, because like when I tell people I'm like I've only been doing this since like late August, then people are like, dang, it looks really good for having not done it for very long. So like those people are like, wow, that's awesome. But then when I'm in the spaces with like the big players who like have done it for years, my booth looks a little bit shabby compared to theirs, because they've got banners, they've got all kinds of stuff, they've got all kinds of like really stylized stuff, they've got like furniture that holds their stuff, you know? So like I can see that there's room to grow there. I can. But I think like there's times where you're like, oh, I should go through the amateur phase, I should go through the beginner phase. The first year is always hard, that kind of stuff. But I think when you go, I have done everything right here today. I've done everything right today. I went to a market where people showed up. I had a really nice looking booth. I talked to a lot of people. I have good stuff to sell. Like people like the stuff that they see, they compliment it and stuff, but people just don't buy. Even the people that are like sticking around and talking and they like what they see, they're asking questions and they still are just like, okay, thanks, bye, you know? Then I'm like, what more can you do? You know, it's like, I know there's like levels to what you can do to like make more sales and stuff. Like you have to push your art and stuff, and you have to like really be an advocate for it and stuff. And I try to put stuff in people's hands and like make them pick stuff up, because I know picking stuff up increases the, you know, likelihood that they might buy something. But like even when they go all the way to the end of the sales funnel and they just don't buy, to me that's just a sign of like that sale was never going to happen. It was never going to happen, and that's every single sale. It's rare that I get something sold and it isn't just like a couple of stickers, you know? So it's that kind of stuff where it tells me it's like you could suffer through the amateur phase, but because it's costing me a lot of money every single day that I do this, I think it makes more sense for me to go, this isn't the time to go through this. I could do it and I could suffer and I could really hemorrhage some money off of this, even more so than I already have. But does that make sense? It doesn't. It just doesn't. I'm throwing away money. I'm throwing away money to like go pretend to be an art vendor, you know? And I say pretend not because I'm not. I say pretend because I'm not selling anything. So what am I vending? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be negative about this. I'm trying to be really realistic about it all. Because the truth is that, like, even though I quit this stuff, here's where I go, well, I'm not a failure. I'm not I'm not just like quitting art. I'm obviously going to keep making the stuff that I would make for art markets. But I'm just going to spend my time honing my craft, drawing my comic, making this stuff better for when the economy's a little nicer and I go, you know what? Maybe it's time to get myself back out there. Maybe it's time for me to try it again. Because, there's just a lot of factors where I'm like, I'm not getting anything right now. I'm only losing. And in some cases, I can point at it being like, oh, that was your fault. Oh, that was maybe the event's fault or something. But a lot of times I can just be like, there's no clear cut, like, this is what happened. It just seems like people don't have the money to spend. And I feel a little bit more validated by that when I see that it's not just me that's having a hard time. Everybody seems to be having a hard time. And not being able to make it right now isn't necessarily a sign of, like, it's your failure. I think the truth is that, like, there's bigger things at play that are affecting everyone. And so no one person should be like, I have failed. So yeah, anyways, all that aside, it's like, yes, I am quitting that, but I'm really just taking that extra time that I would have spent working on the art markets to continue honing my craft. I think, like, as much as I wanted to, like, come out of hibernation, it just wasn't time. It wasn't time. And honestly, I think it would serve me better to actually go out to art markets rather than, like, booth at them and talk to a lot of people. Because there's, I don't know, like, there's just so many things that I had tried. And I think it is worth making a full-length video to talk over everything. Because I don't like to discourage people from, like, trying something new like that. But I do think it's important, like I said, like, you could suffer through the amateur phase right now. But I think it's important to know that, like, now is not the time to do that. And, it's possible that somebody who's got a lot of experience is like, dude, you didn't do this one thing. This one thing makes a huge difference. This is probably what messed you up. And maybe that's true. Again, sample size of 1. So there's no, like, solid conclusions to, like, what it is. But when I do talk to other people about it, nobody's doing that well. So I don't feel that, like, how do I want to do this? This maybe? Yeah. I don't feel, like a failure as a result of that stuff. I feel like things are just tough everywhere. Things are tough everywhere, and art is a tough market to begin with. I think the one thing I don't want to lose, though, because this has literally been the most beneficial thing that I have done as a result of them, or have gotten as a result of the markets, is I've just talked to a ton of artists. I've talked to a ton of artists. I've gotten to know some people a little bit. And what's really cool is that I've been recognized already in the small amount of, like, markets I've been at. I've had, like, 2 or 3 people come up to me and been like, hey, you were at this event, weren't you? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember you. Yeah. And, like, I feel that I've been absent in my local artist community for a long time because I've just been making art in isolation. And not necessarily complete isolation, you know, like I do post my art online. I may have this channel, I talk about my art and stuff. But locally, I've not been that present. And so when I started doing the art markets, I was like, oh, I like being a part of this. I want to be a part of this. And so the thing that I think I'll miss most is actually that. Which is why I say, like, maybe I'll just go to more art markets and stuff. And I am really curious what other people are feeling, what other people are what other people are doing, and like if I can kind of maintain that presence a little bit just by like getting out there and like not really trying to sell anything, but just like trying to show some level of support for people that are out there. But anyways, yeah, the full-length video would be a little bit of a small warning to be like, this is my experience, and I think that like it's important to, I'm not scared of like revealing too much. I really am not. Like, I will tell you, here's what I spent, here's what I did, here's all of the secrets that I know, and like put it out on the table so people can kind of be like, oh wow, this is his experience compared to mine. And maybe somebody can go like, wow, his experience really sucked compared to mine because mine was great, you know, and that's fine too, you know. I think it's just nice to have that there, because I think a lot of people are worried to be like, I didn't do well. And I'm like, well, just because you didn't do well, it's not a reflection of you all the time, you know? So that stuff kind of makes me curious because I want to know what people are like and how they're doing and stuff. And a lot of people aren't going to just come right out and share that with you. I will. I have no problem. Okay, sorry, I got a little focus there. And so I think it's beneficial to somebody who's like wanting to try, because if somebody's wanting to try and is like, oh, I could go out tomorrow and do it, I would be like, maybe wait, regardless of your skill level, maybe wait. If you haven't spent any money on it, I wouldn't yet, because it's a tough time to be doing this right now. The best thing that you can actually get out of trying right now is just like getting the experience of like doing an event and like how to apply to these events and how you get in and like that kind of thing. That's the best thing you can get out of it right now. You're not going to get money out of it, in my opinion, right now. It's going to be very difficult for you to make it. Now, granted, if you are very talented and you make like stuff that is very commercially viable, and that is, truth be told, it's cute stuff. If you make cute stuff and you're very talented, you might make it regardless. You might be like one of the golden childs that like just has the sauce, and go for it in that case, you know? But be warned too that like sometimes that's not enough. And again, it's my opinion, not strictly facts, that I think it's just a bad time for the economy to be doing it right now. you know? And like, and that is on top of, I didn't even mention this. That is on top of the fact that this last market was marketed as a holiday market, like buy gifts for people type of market, which is the best time of the year for the economy because people are buying gifts for others, right? For the holidays. And I was like, dang. Like, okay, so here's what I'll also add too. I think there's just like an increase in the amount of people that I see walking around markets empty-handed. That's another thing. Like that's why I go like, yes, I am sucking incredibly hard, but it's not just me because I walk around and I see these people and they don't have a print in their hand. They don't have a sticker in their hand. They don't carry around a little bag with whatever it is that they just bought because they didn't buy anything. That's why I'm saying all this stuff, because it's like you could look at it as a failure, but I don't think it is. I think we're all just collectively feeling how hard things are right now and going, I can't be spending money on art. So that's been my week. I've talked about some other stuff on some other streams. But that's why I go like, yes, this sucks. Yes, it sucks because I would have loved for this to work out. But you take it on the chin, you move on, and you go, I'll try again another day. Some other day. Probably like maybe, I don't know, like a year or two in the future. You know, I think it really depends. You know, you gotta kind of see how the economy's doing, because yeah, you know, I think there was some times where I was like, oh man, I need an event that's marketed towards like what I do, you know, that it's like a better fit for me. And then I have some that I'm like, well, this is a slightly better fit compared to this and this and this. Maybe it's not perfect, but I go like, this is pretty good. This is pretty close. And then, you know, when you still don't do well, you're like, I don't know. I don't know what more I can do. I'm kind of rambling at this point. But I think you kind of get the point. Is like, there's so much time that you have to put into being an artist and being an art vendor, okay? Because even when you're an art vendor, you still have to put in time to make art and hone your craft. And so right now I'm like, really what it's saying to me is like, hone your craft further. I thought I had gotten to a point where I was like, I'm there, I'm good enough right now. And maybe that is true, but we may as well just go further. We may as well. Because I'm just going to get more bang for my buck doing it that way. You know, it's free to do this. It's free to do this. I'm not going to lose money doing this. I can spend just as much time doing it, and I will get much more out of doing this. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. That being said, too, like, I think there are probably some changes I will make to what I might sell next time. Maybe not a ton, because I've already invested a lot into it. So if I invest even more and then it also doesn't go well, I'm like, dude, you're just losing a lot of money. Because I am kind of at the point where, like, if I can sell some of my inventory, I can make back a decent amount, and I'd feel okay with, like, restocking with different stuff that's not what I already had out there. And I'm okay with going like, this line of stuff just doesn't sell. It's not gonna sell. No reason to sell it. In fact, I have stuff that I have printed that I'm like, it was for other purposes. And then I was like, maybe I can sell it. And then I go, I don't think this will sell. I don't think anybody would actually buy this. It like doesn't make sense to me. Like if I could reprint everything and get all my money back for what I've printed and then just go like, all right, spend this budget on like printing stuff. There's a set of ones that I have printed right now where I'm like, no, I would never print that to sell. I would never do it. But I have them now. And my strategy was I'll give them away for free to whoever buys a print. And can you guess how many I've given away? Because it's less than one. It's less than one. But that's the thing, is like there's stuff like that where I've already said I'm gonna retire this without even trying it because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to just give it away. And it's not totally outside of my brand either, because I started by posting my art somewhere and then going like with a Sharpie on a sticky note or something and just writing "steal me" or like "this is free," you know, something like that. So like it's not really unusual for that kind of stuff to be associated with my art. I like that idea, you know. It's just that you can't do that only. You have to sell some stuff to be able to like do that. You have to be able to make some money. And one thing I will say too is like it is cool to just show your art. It is cool. And I like doing that. I think what is I think what's tough is that at a certain point that coolness needs some level of like affirmation. Because it's like, yeah, when you're showing your art and it's not for sale, then you don't care about people asking for sales, you know? But when you show your art and you're like, it is for sale, and then nobody has taken an interest in it, it kind of backfires a little bit about like showing your art, you know? Because like I have received a lot of negative feedback in my life, a lot of negative feedback. It's just a part of being an artist and being a designer. I've just, you get it all the time. And obviously it's not fun, but I've gotten accustomed to it. I get it, you know? And even I think getting negative feedback, you know, even hearing somebody go, I don't like this, I think that is better than just people having no interest at all. You know, I get negative comments sometimes on this channel. And even those, I'm willing to respond to those and like interact with those a little bit. And obviously at a certain point I go like, all right, well, like there isn't even like a genuine dislike here. You're just like, you're just trying to be negative to get a reaction. And I don't respond to those. But when people genuinely give you negative feedback about your artwork, I think it's important to like reciprocate a little bit and like interact with that, because I do think negative feedback is really valuable. And when I say negative, like it has to be a little bit constructive sometimes. But it really depends on the person. Like if the person is not an artist and the person's not somebody with the expertise, but they give negative feedback, you have to be able to like translate that a little bit. You have to be able to like go, okay, so they said they didn't like the color. They didn't tell me why. They didn't really like get into it all. They kind of just said the color is just a weird vibe. So now you got to interpret that a little bit. You got to figure out what about it feels weird. And sometimes that means questioning other people and being like, what do you think about the color? And, you know, really trying to decipher what that comes from. Now, people who are experienced and they give you constructive feedback, they'll usually give you something that's like, well, the reason it's very warm and there's no cool to like balance it up. It's just all orange, you know, and it doesn't feel right. And you might get something like that and be like, okay, well, that's something I can act on. Now, when the person is experienced and they say negative feedback with no construction, then I think that's the stuff where you're just like, okay, well, stay away from that, because this is somebody just trying to put you down a little bit. That's not worth interacting with. And of course, there's people that are just like, your art sucks, and they're just saying it to make you upset and get a reaction. And that I think is more common online than in person. And that's also what I guess you want to just kind of stay away from. But the constructive or negative feedback, depending on how it's presented, right? Like, that is better than just the genuine disinterest, man. I truly, truly, truly believe that. I think it's so much better for people to just hate your art than to have no opinion. When they have no opinion on it, you really start to question what you're making. And that's hard. So that's where I'm like, sometimes that like show your art coolness needs a little bit of like reciprocation. It needs a little bit of that affirmation to be like, okay, so you're showing it. Are people like taking any interest at all? Because at first when you show it, it's like, cool, man, people are here and I'm showing it to people, you know? But that goes away pretty quick, you know? And again, any opportunity to show your art, you can turn into somewhat of a good one if people are willing to look. Because I do think that, like, of the people that stopped at my booth and didn't buy anything, maybe they go to an art market 6 months from now and they see my stuff again and they're like, oh, I remember this guy, you know? And that is fine too. I've done that myself, where I've bought something from somebody or not bought something from somebody and then kind of came back and saw somebody again and I was like, oh, I've seen this guy's stuff before. I remember this. So I think building that brand a little bit is good. So anyways, all that to say, I probably won't be doing them much in the new year. Basically, I have one for the rest of this year. And then I've got one I'm going to try to get into next year. And then beyond that point, we're probably done. We're probably done. I mean, if the big one that I'm trying to get into, excuse me, if I get into it and I do well, I'll actually be a little bit conflicted. Because then I'll be like, wow, is it just that the market sucked, or like what now? I don't know. I don't know what that was. Some like light flashed through my window. Because I still will think that like doing these small markets that I've been doing won't be worth it. Like, it's just kind of insane to like still try to make those work. So what we do with that, I'm not sure. I think maybe, I mean, I don't know. I can like play mental gymnastics and still make it work for my argument, I guess. Like, I could say something like, well, you know, this is a market where it's much bigger. People know that you're expected to buy something, you know, and so maybe just more people are willing to pay for stuff here. But at small markets, that's just not going to be the case. People like to go to the small markets and then be like, "Oh, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm just going to look around." Um, it's just, it's a little weird. It is a little weird, man. And I will say, I think I did some stuff. I made some like stickers specifically that I was like, I think this will lean into a little bit more what people like, you know, what people are more willing to buy. Because if they're not totally into the like kind of dark emotional vibe of some of the artwork I'm selling, they might be into some of the funny stuff that I put out there. You know, like I have a cute little ghost, like stereotypical ghost sticker of Ichabod. Okay, it's like just a little round guy, and he's got a little like upset smile, and he's going. He says, "This is tummy hurts." Okay, and that's it. And you know, I hear people go, "Oh, I like the tummy hurts thing," you know. Of course you do, because it's funny and it's cute. And then I have another thing where it's like, imagine that like millennial aesthetic of like girl quotes, where it's like black text, white background. It's a little flowery. It's got a little bit more, what is it called? It's just like decorative text, you know? And sometimes it'll say something like live, laugh, love, or something along those lines, or like girl boss or whatever, you know, that stuff. And again, I'm not crapping on it. I'm just saying that that's a style that is a little bit more maybe millennial, maybe older millennial, and it was very popular. And I made something in that style in the very cutesy font, and it says sacrifice a CEO. So I was like, that's funny to me. That is funny to me. Because although that's not my style, I think that's funny. And I think, I don't know how people feel about it, that one. I've not heard enough comments on it. I think I have heard some stuff like, oh, that's a little forward. So I don't know. I thought that one was like, you know, you see a lot of people rally behind like the whole Luigi Mangione and like CEOs like that have been killed and stuff and all that. And I'm not here to say anything about that. I'm just saying that you see a lot of discourse online, and a lot of people seem to generally be like, yeah, one CEO must be like sacrificed every year, you know. There's like memes about it and stuff. And so I'm like, I'm leaning into the meme of it. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do here. But I don't know. And the other thing too is I think my city is a city that was cool, and it's gotten very techy. It's gotten so techy. And it used to be cool. It used to be more punk rock. It used to be a little bit more, and those people are still around, you know, but there's just so many more people who are like, I love beige and I love tech. And again, I'm not saying anything about them, but what I am saying is that like, I think those people are less inclined to want to buy something that says sacrifice a CEO. You know what I mean? Whereas the punk rock millennial might be like, yeah, I would buy that. That's funny because I get where the aesthetic is coming from. And like, I think the message is funny. So, I don't know. I'm speculating a lot about like one sticker that I just, again, don't have a lot of data on. So, we'll see. But yeah, I would be lying to say that like the connection to the artists has not been beneficial, because it has been really beneficial. I've really enjoyed talking to the people there. And and like making small little connections with those people. And what was I about to say? I also didn't think I would be like so willing to trade. I didn't really think because I thought I was gonna be like, no, I don't do trades. But honestly, I've talked to a lot of people and I've been like, I like this person and I like their art and I like this piece specifically. And they said the same thing about my piece over here. So it's kind of like, dude, do you want it? Because if you give me that, I'll give you this. You know, and I've not really had many situations. I haven't had any situations actually where somebody was like, do you want to trade? And it wasn't like an immediate, yeah. You know, I've never had a situation where I'm like, well, I don't know. I still don't know how to navigate that exactly. Because I think the tough part is when somebody asks you to trade and you haven't seen their art yet. You know, because I feel like if you've seen their art, you've seen their booth, and you're like, I don't like this stuff, this isn't my style, you can kind of go like, I don't do trades, and just be nice or whatever. But I feel like if you're like, well, let me see what you got. And then you go and you're like, ooh, no. then it's kind of like, oh crap. What do I say to this person? I don't want to make them feel bad, you know? Because also, I don't think you should feel obligated to do trades if you don't want to. You know? The truth is that it's your merchandise, you know? So it's like, you can't just give it away all the time. A trade is a fun thing, you know, but... yeah, if it's not fun for you, you know, then it's like, uh-oh. Alright, what are we... that's looking okay. It's looking alright. I think I need to turn off the speed lines for the time being, man. I need to really just focus on the details a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, because like, again, I plan on keeping this channel going for a while. And maybe, you know, by the time I get a full-time job, I might have to slow down a little bit on what I do. Maybe not, hopefully not, but maybe I will. And, but I plan to keep it going. And so I think eventually there will be more content where I'm like talking about art markets again and trying to do them again. And truly, I'm hoping that it'll be a redemption arc where it's like, okay, so I sucked at art markets back in 2025. Now it's 2028. Why am I doing them again or something? You know, I don't know. We'll see. Because I might be willing to do 1 or 2 random ones just throughout. You know? But I do think also like the summer makes it a little bit or easier. Like the winter time is a little harder because people just like they like to stay in, you know. And then especially venues that are cold or outdoors, it's like, oof, man, come on. Even the vendors don't want to be here. Oh, and you know what? I think I've already paid for one in like March. So actually, I have two. I have two that are already scheduled. So, I didn't even remember that one, but yeah, I did pay for one like that. So we're already obligated to do another one. And maybe life's a little better then. Maybe people get stimulus checks or something. Who knows? So yeah, I guess like the main takeaway that I want people to get is that although the art markets didn't work out, although it has been quite hard and cost me a lot of money, and although I am quitting them for a little while, as to say, it's not that I didn't get anything out of it, and the reason I'm stopping is purely financial. I just don't really have a way to like fund it as just like a hobby, you know what I mean? I don't make that much money. So it's like if I was able to like just make up the booth fee or whatever the cost, like you can still do it as a hobby, you know, even if you're not making a ton of money. But yeah, the loss of money just to do it, like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So for that reason, I'm like, we're just gonna pause this for now, because I'm not getting rid of everything that I have. You know, I think that'd be silly. The main takeaway is like sometimes it's just not the time, and so what the time is now is to hone your craft and try to do the market some other time. I think it's more like, that's an unclean line. That's what they call me, unclean. Yeah, so it's like not meant to be a doom and gloom type of thing. I think along with all the stuff that I say too, where I'm like, oh, well, you know, I try to be motivational and I try to be honest. It's like, dude, not enough. Nobody talks about their failures, man. Nobody talks about their failures while they're happening. Nobody's courageous enough to do that, man. And you should, man. You should be courageous enough to talk about your failures. You should embrace that a little bit, because I feel like the only time you hear people talk about their failures is when it's like, oh, now they're ultra successful and they're being interviewed and people are like, oh, how did this go? And they go, yeah, that didn't go well. It sucked, but I persevered and now I'm here. That type of thing. Where it's like, well, now I'm still in the dump, man. I'm still in the dump and I'm still going. I'm still in the dump and I'm still going. And people are scared to talk about their failures while they're happening, and I'm not, man. That just means do something else for the time being, man. Take the sign. That's the sign to try a little something else, man. Try a little something else. And I'll tell you right now. Here's the one thing that has worked for me every time. It's worked for me consistently. Because I've done this YouTube channel. I've worked a full-time job. I've done the art markets. I've gone to conventions. I've done a lot of stuff. Okay, I've done commissions. And at some point, every single one of those things has not gone well. The one thing that does go well, and it is hard, but honestly, I would say it's just as hard as the other stuff, is honing your craft. Honing your craft always, 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 always makes a big difference. It always does. It always improves. And it's free. It's free. You don't even have to go out. You don't have to talk to anybody. You just need a little bit of time and some effort. And you will always get something out of it. You always will, man. You always will. And so for that reason, I'm like, stick to it, man. Stick to it. This has been working. And maybe by the time that some of the other stuff is ready for you to jump back in, you're going to be better for it. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Voice crack and all. That's what we're doing. But one thing I will say, man, I am happy to just have more time to draw this comic. I really am. That's one of the things I was like, you know what? Anytime it's like really slow, which is a lot of times at the art markets, and I'm like, this isn't going well, and I'm a little bit doom and gloom, I am kind of thinking like, I could just be drawing right now, man. I could be drawing right now. And I do draw sometimes at the markets themselves. Like I showed you that drawing the other day of the little clown that's like going like this. And shit, I think it's cool enough that if I scan it in and clean it up a little bit, because it's on dotted paper, so I had to get rid of some of those. That like it could be a print, man. I could if I really wanted it to. Granted, because I'm not doing many art markets, I'm not trying to invest in more prints or anything. But it's a little different from drawing the comic, you know, because I feel like this is a measure of like, this is my measure of success right now, is this comic. All right, that wing is done. And I'm trying to be a good boy about it. I'm trying to be diligent. It's day one, you know, it's day one. So what can I really say about that? But it's my new day one. But what I can say is I'm pretty sure somebody was like, "Yo, you want to arc raiders right now?" And I was like, I can't respond to this right now, because yes, I do want to arc raiders right now. But I got crap to draw, man. I got stuff to do. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it right, and hopefully I learn something while I'm doing it, man. Hopefully I learn something while I'm doing it. I think it's just important too that you just, whatever you do, you're enjoying it. And I think it's just true that I wasn't really enjoying a lot of the art markets very much. When there's a small period of time where my wife wasn't working. She had taken an extended break from her job, and she's working now again, you know. But during that time, there was a couple of art markets that she came with me. And I gotta say, it is easier if you have somebody else that's like willing to do it with you. Maybe this is a little dark, huh? A little scratchy and a little dark. Kind of makes it look... It kind of gives it like a little bit too realistic of a look. Is that crazy? I don't know. Maybe it still does anyways. Whatever. Let's get his details back in here. Let's give his little crazy eye. What am I doing? What am I doing? I love characters with these like pointy teeth, man. There's a character in Kaiju number 8. I forgot his name already, but he's got like the pointy teeth like that. He's got like big crazy red hair. I love that. I think the eye... Oh, and the water. I forgot about the water. The water. Yeah, the eye and the water still need some love. And we need to fill this in. You know how people really like drawing eyes? I kind of hate it now. I kind of hate it. It's not my thing. It's really not. I love simple eyes. I love being able to, like, hit you with one of these. You know what I mean? I love doing those. Because I actually think that, like, when you do detailed eyes like this, I think they're not that impactful. I don't get it sometimes. I don't get what other people are seeing in them. Is that psychopathic? Is that sociopath behavior right there? I see nothing when I look in your eyes. Oh no. Oh no, he's crazy. He's lost it. The art market's broke him. Oh no. What does that look like? I think it needs a little bit more darkness on this side here, on the bottom half. It'll have a gunky throat. Ugh. It'll have a little bit more halftone on this side to make it a little darker. Or that's the plan. That is the plan. All right, the water. I love hearing somebody that does pronounce water that way. Like that genuinely, I'm like, yes, dude. I think it's all too commonplace to just like make fun of people by like turning on some kind of American accent from a rural place, or like Southern accent is just automatically racist or something, which is certainly not true. You know, like I've heard many a progressive socialist with the heavy Southern accent. And I feel like sometimes when I talk, um, I feel like the way I talk is a little weird. It's a little bit weird. I clearly have an American accent, okay? Even though, that's not my nationality. Or no, sorry, that's not my ethnicity. Um, but I grew up a little bit in the Midwest. But also I grew up with a lot of people in my family with heavy Mexican accents. Like very heavy Mexican accents. To the point where like I remember in my friend group of like I used to have like big Mexican friend group. And then at some point I had a big white friend group. And that white friend group was then making fun of me because every time I said 3, I rolled my R. 3. And I didn't show a lot of like my Mexican accent, but I think to them that was the most obvious. And I would say, you know, the typical stuff like fool, you know, all the time, and homie, and dog. But and I still say some of that stuff too. I'm not gonna pretend like I don't. But the white friend group is always like three, like making fun of me and stuff. And eventually I changed that because I was like, yeah, people are making fun of me for it, so like I'm not gonna do it anymore. But I feel like my dialect has just been so, and my accent has been so all over the place too now, that like every once in a while I would just like fall into that heavy Midwestern accent. And I think my wife is not from the Midwest or the like South, really, what you would normally consider the South. Definitely from a southern state, but not like South, what you would normally put in that group. Or at least a part of it is not normally in that group. So sometimes I'll say stuff and I'll say it and I'll start talking in like a Midwestern accent. Totally unintentional. It just happens. And she'll be like, why are you talking like that? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm talking normal. And then she's like, no, you're not. You sound Southern. And I'm like, no, baby. Like, this is a Southern drawl right here. That's not what I was doing. And, yeah, I feel like sometimes you kind of like have people who mistake the two a little bit because they're always from the city or something. But I love the idea of accents. I love just how unique they are, you know? And I feel like the common one to make fun of right now, which to me is a little bit racist, but it is funny because it is kind of true just how unique and different it is that it's very hard to understand. It's kind of like an Irish accent in the same way where sometimes it's very difficult to understand. But Baltimore, people are like always making fun of Baltimore and stuff. But I think it's so cool, dude. I think it's so cool because they really be saying like it's bordering on like an entirely new dialect because of the words that they use. It's like so different from any of the other historically black communities. And obviously there's a lot of similarities, but I think that's why people are like making fun of it a little bit because they're like, dude, like nobody understands what they're saying. It's crazy that like somebody who is from another country would just be like, this is a different language, you know? I think that's the joke, which is that part of it is a little funny, but also I'm like, I think some people take it a little too far, you know? That I'm like, dude, that's kind of, I wouldn't be saying that stuff online and then, you getting surprised when I get fired from my job, man. But yeah, I think it's so cool. I think it's really, really cool. I think I mean, obviously, like one of the main characteristics of the African American vernacular is that it is cool. It is objectively cool, and that's why so many young people steal terms from their vernacular and then call it Gen Z slang. You know, that's not new. That's not new at all. It's not Gen Z exclusive. But I don't think it's just that vernacular that's cool, man. You know, and I think some people are starting to get it too. You know, like people, I've seen videos of people talking about like old people's like southern sayings and just how like real and how fucking sick they are sometimes. And I'm like, yes, dude, yes, okay. It's like, yes, I know the South is historically associated and still is a little bit with like racism and people who are just genuinely awful. Um, but the truth is that like there are a lot of really cool people from those parts of the country, and the way they speak doesn't have anything to do with their beliefs. You know, there's certainly a trend, um, but I think there's like small things that are like it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, you know. And I think it's sometimes ironic because you'll see people who speak in a heavy Southern accent, and they'll be like, "You know, just because I speak like this, don't mean I'm dumb." And that's true. I'm like, yes, preach, Queen. Um, but then they'll, you know, the bad ones will turn around and then be like making fun of AAVE and people who speak like that, you know. And then it's like, well, buddy, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Come on, man. What am I talking about, man? What am I talking about now? I don't know how I even got here. This is the way the neurodiverse brain works, in case you were wondering. Somebody follow the trail back. Somebody follow it all the way back, man. Because it's, it's all over the place. Oh, man. We gotta put some tentacles down in here. Just some light texture here for them. We can like indicate the form with some subtle lines here. That was less than subtle. Wow, that was wrong. I think warp needs a little line here that's gonna show the. Yep. That's it right there. That's it right there. Yeah, I gotta pivot from that topic because I don't know where I'm really going. I don't have any expertise on dialects or vernaculars or accents, you know. I'm just an observer, and I love to observe those things, man, but I got nothing more to really add to it, you know. You're gonna have to look at an entomology nerd or something for more info on that. I don't know. Don't know enough. Um well, we are nearing like done on the details. We're getting there now. We're getting there. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I think we just got some more details on Forb. And we can kind of get into the text, maybe the tone and halftone. Yeah. Okay. I will say when I finish this panel, I'm gonna take a quick break because I did get a phone call and I would like to return that phone call. And I don't know, depending on the nature of the call, man, I might show myself out. Oh, the nail. Wait too long. Let's do that, yeah? What's everybody's YouTube recap looking like, huh? Y'all got Mr. Beast in there? Mine is so... I felt a little bad about it because I was like, oh my god, I need to get a life. I need to get a life. Well, I guess like it wasn't so bad. I saw the amount of like channels I saw this year, which is a crazy amount. It was huge. And I think it even said I don't remember if it was 8 or 14 times the amount that the average viewer has seen. And I'm like, holy shit, bro, I need to put this down, dude. This is my social media poison right here. But, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean I saw a lot of their stuff. I think it just means like, it's a lot of different stuff. It's a lot of different channels. And also the hours, you know, I don't think I'm unique in this, okay? And this is kind of my fault because I put my wife onto doing this. And I think now my wife is much more into the idea of like, oh, let's like play something to fall asleep to. And in typical goth couple form, she's like, what if we play? Well, you know, actually, I'm the one who showed her this stuff. But then she was like, nah, this is the move. This is the move. We gotta do this every night. And now we do. We have for years. But it's like, what if we play scary stories? And we fall asleep to that, you know? And so it's like, oh man. That is so freaking goth. It's funny and I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. Like I'm definitely a white noise type of person. So that doesn't bother me. And the ads and okay, so the ads I would play would wake my wife up because they would just be so blaringly loud and annoying as fuck. Okay? Because ads are here to ruin our lives. And the light on the phone would keep me up. Like lights, I can fall asleep with a decent amount of noise as long as it's like not right next to me or something. It's like I don't do that well with people who snore, but there's like construction going on outside. I can still fall asleep. I'll be fine. But light kind of prevents me from falling asleep a little bit. I kind of need it to be a bit dark. And my wife was like, we cannot have these ads playing right now. Can we get rid of the ads? And so I was like, well, you can get, at the time it was like, you can get YouTube Red, I guess, which I always thought was a silly thing to get, but then I was like, God damn it, they got me, man. They got me with this one. But you know what? Now I don't get ads, so whatever. And it was being played on my phone, so like it wasn't like ad blocker. I think at the time the ad blockers on your phone were like kind of not that trustworthy, not that consistent either. And then also being able to turn off the phone screen, that was nice, because that was around the time where they disabled that for people, because that was a feature of YouTube Red or whatever, which is now just premium, I think. I don't know. But what was I gonna say? And at the time, I was fortunate enough to be making enough money that it wasn't really a big deal to add another subscription service. I was going somewhere with this. I'm trying to remember where it was, because I've lost my map. I've lost my map on what I was gonna say about all this stuff. Oh, I remember, because I was talking about the YouTube recap. But I didn't feel too bad about it, because although it looks freaking horrifying and like I have no life at all, I was like, well, actually, because we play these every night, so much of the hours and the time spent is actually just while I'm asleep. It's like 8 hours every night or something. It's sometimes less than 8 hours or whatever, but yeah, I'm not that online. Because what it looked like, I was like, holy shit, man. Like, this is... If you showed this to me, I'd be like, that person needs help. And then it turns out it's you, and you're like, oh, fuck. I need help. But I was like, no, it felt a little bit more validated, because they were like, you're #1 YouTuber, and it was that, like, the person that we normally go to. And they're like, you are in the top 0.001%. And I was like, uh-oh. But I was like, nah, that's why. We're not up. We're not. It's just on. Where nobody's watching it, you know? Because I won't lie. Like, I do watch a pretty good amount of YouTube. I think less so now. I used to watch it more. But I don't watch it as much anymore. Still do. But I think, like, here's what I think is funny. I used to see a lot of people that would say stuff like, oh yeah, Twitch chat is for the unemployed, and the YouTube bot is for the employed. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's true, but I am a YouTube bot watcher right now. And then I got laid off, and then I was like, well, it's time to join the Twitch chat. And I was like, yeah, actually, this makes a lot of sense. Because I don't think I'd be doing this once I'm employed. Because I was fortunate enough to have, like, a remote job where I could play something in the background for, like, most of my day. And a lot of the times it was just music. But for a little while, I was like, I'm just going to play video or something, or something like that, like a YouTube bot. And, I had to be careful about doing that, because like I feel like if you play music, you can kind of jam out and do your work. But if you're playing a video, like, you're gonna be inclined to look and like engage a little bit, and then you're not working. So after a certain point, I was like, I gotta be careful what days I'm doing this, because if I need to get stuff done, I need to get stuff done, and it needs to just be music, you know, nothing else, because I will get distracted. All right. I think I just need to, or I think I was going to do maybe halftone for all that. So let's take a look at this really quick. I think the thing I don't like is that I feel like it needs like more varying line weight. You know what I mean? It's all kind of the same. All right. I guess there's also like there's gonna be a, or maybe it's already out. There's like a Twitch recap. I have not been on Twitch in a while. I should check it out. All right. I think this is helping. Am I helping? Unsolicited relationship advice. Something that my wife did, especially early on in our relationship, because I feel like here's my opinion, okay? Here's my opinion. A really good relationship has a bit or a lot of arguing, kind of somewhat towards the beginning. Like, obviously, you have your honeymoon period and stuff, and then once you start getting like moved in a little bit and like you start getting like really used to each other, you should have a little bit of arguing. Maybe a lot, depending on like how different you guys are. Okay. And then I think as you get a little deeper, you should argue a whole lot less. You should argue a whole lot less because I think if you're arguing more, you're arguing the same amount, you're either just like not compatible or neither of you are genuinely willing to compromise. You might be willing to compromise short term for a little bit just to like get the argument over with and like be okay for the next couple days. But if you compromise long term and you genuinely change for the other person, I need to get rid of this sub view. Then you should be arguing a lot less. And that's what I love about my relationship with my wife is that we both are willing to compromise sometimes. And there are things that like I'm like, God dang it, like this has been a problem for like a year or two or three or four or five. But they're small things. Like here's my biggest problem right now with my wife. This is like the biggest pet peeve. Sometimes when she uses a tissue, whether it's because she blew her nose or just like wiped her mouth or something, she'll set it down and she won't throw it away. Or she might like put it in her pocket or something. And that has bothered me a lot. It bothers me a lot and it's been a problem for a long time. But that's not that big a deal. That's not that big a deal. Literally the worst part is if she puts like a paper towel in her pocket or something and then doesn't remember and then it gets in the wash. That sucks a lot. That sucks a lot. And I think every time that happens, she goes, uh-oh. Like, this is a problem for me too, because now there's little bits of paper on everything. But I'm sure that, I mean, here's her biggest problem with me probably is that she'll ask me to do something and I'll immediately forget. I'm very forgetful about things like that. So it's not to say that there's like nothing there, but we're not really arguing about that thing. We're just kind of like, hey, you know that you should know better. You know? And that's kind of it, right? Like, there's no real reason to get into a big old fight about it and stuff. Usually, the other person already feels bad because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. But anyways, here's the actual piece of relationship advice I was gonna say. My wife used to do this a lot whenever we were first kind of arguing a bit and trying to like figure stuff out. And the nice thing is that maybe not right at the beginning, but for the majority of our relationship, she was always willing to compromise and stuff with me and always wanted to really make things work. And so whenever we would talk, oh, I'm doing this on the wrong layer. Crap. Whenever we would talk, and, you know, she'd be saying something, or maybe she would just be getting close, like physically, she would always ask, like, am I helping or am I hurting? And it's such a simple question. And as long as you don't take it personally when you ask that question, damn, it makes a difference. Because, you know, sometimes when you argue with someone, like, you don't want them to, like, hug you. Sometimes you don't want that. Or there are other times where it's like, I just want to be close. Like it's fine. I'm not angry at you. I just want to be close and stuff. And so sometimes she would do that and then be like, am I helping or am I hurting? And I would be like, okay, so like right now you're not helping. You're not making this better. But then other times I'd be like, no, you're helping. And then that kind of like lets her know that whatever she's doing, she's heading in the right direction, you know? And so it was something that she showed me. And so I'm saying this not to say like, oh, my wife does this for me and that's cool and I love that. It's that like, oh no, she showed it to me and did it for me a few times. And I was like, oh, this is good. This is good stuff right here. Like I need to do this myself as well. It just kind of came into my mind because I basically said that out loud earlier. I was like, am I helping or am I hurting this thing right now? But yeah, I don't know. Free unsolicited relationship advice for those in need. Give what you can, take what you need. You know. You know what kind of sucks? I feel like there's been a lot of opportunities for me to give back recently. I just like run into a lot of opportunities where I could give back and stuff. A lot of it being like, oh, just like donate $1 or something, or not really $1. They're usually asking for a lot more than $1, but they seem to be popping up a lot more. And like I do have money. I do have some money. It's not a lot of money, okay? But it's enough that I'm like, I'm staying afloat, and I got enough to stay afloat a little longer if I really need to. And all these times I'm like, God damn it, dude, I want to freaking give back and stuff. I do. And it feels weird to be like, well, the number in my bank account says I could. But the reality isn't like, well, that also means I'm not bringing in. Like that number is just, it's just getting smaller. It's just slowly getting smaller. So half the time I'm like, I could do it today. I might regret it tomorrow. Because I might be like, I needed that for rent. So it feels weird to say, you know, get what you can, take what you need. Because I'm like, I don't know. Times are tough. But I didn't run into that many opportunities while employed. Oh, mine is terrible. Or at least not as many. Not as many. The random thing I will say, in case you don't know, is you know how like you check out somewhere and it's like, would you like to round up and like donate to this? I mean, rounding up, I don't really care much about. It's, you will never buy anything for cents anymore in this world. It's just not gonna happen. So it's like rounding up, I don't care. But if they ever ask you, would you like to add another $1 to your purchase? I mean, sure, you can do it and donate $1 and maybe feel good about yourself. But I'm going to tell you right now that the way that that works is that by asking if you want to do that, the company will then take those funds, set them aside. It will donate them, as far as I know. But what it'll do is it'll donate them in that company's name. And you're like, okay, so essentially, the money that these corporations give back to charity is coming directly out of the pockets of the consumer. So then they can get the tax write-off for free. For free. They don't even actually give money to charities out of their own pocket because they're asking at checkout if you would do it. Would you do it for us? That's the way that you should look at those. Just saying. I'm just saying that is how it works. Whether or not you want to continue to give that money, it's up to you. I say no. That's me. There are some places that do it kind of in a cool way. I used to work at a little grocery store, and they would be like, hey, we have to charge a, like 10 cents for a bag. And if you bring your own bag, we can either basically give you a 10-cent discount instead, or like per bag, or we'll give you a little token that is worth 10 cents, and then you can pick one of 3 charities that we selected for the month, drop the token in that box, and we'll donate the 10 cents to them. And people love that. And it's like, you technically don't lose anything. So, whatever. I'm liking the way this is looking. I think the only thing I need to do is do the details on these like cracks and stuff. I'm literally talking about the most random stuff today. Today I've got topics of like I don't even know how I'm getting here, dude. I don't even know how I like ended up talking about like checkout donations. I just don't know. I don't know. My brain's firing in a lot of ways, dude, and I don't know. The synapse connections are just like, they're everywhere, man. They're everywhere. I don't know. Am I helping or hurting, dude? I don't know. Anyways, y'all smoke. Okay, alright. Alright, we're getting there. I want to move a little faster here because I don't want to wait too long before we're answering that call, man. I gotta call him back. Alright. Sorry, I said all that stuff and then I immediately was like, Well, I guess it's time to shut the fuck up. How many times can you swear in a stream before it's no longer PG-13? I feel like I've sworn a lot. A lot more than usual today. It's not intentional. I think I'm just letting it ride. Okay. Yep, I'm still shutting up. I'm still shutting up. In case you were wondering. In case you didn't know. Okay. We're nearly done. We're nearly done here. This K's got a lot of kind of connecting cracks. Like all connected. Not this one. You didn't plan on that one. Yeah, you didn't think that was gonna happen, did you? Then it happened. Okay, we're done there. We're done there. I've not hit save this entire time, and I need to. And I did. And it didn't crash, and I'm grateful for that. I'll tell you that. I'm grateful for that. That's just filled in, I think. So, we'll fill it in. Cool. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Alright, we got tone, so we gotta make this ugly for 1 second. How are we gonna do this? So I guess the easiest part is always start with the hair. Because the hair is typically the darkest. And I think the pants are also the same. No, pants are darker actually. We'll just keep going with the hair real quick. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Let's go with the eye. Alright. I'm getting kind of hungry. I'm getting kind of hungry. And I already know today I'm eating like slop. Well, not totally. I have to make dinner. I have to make something nice for dinner. Got to get to the store. Grab some stuff. Grab some stuff. You know what I can talk about? I think I was talking about playing Bloodborne the other day. I am up to the DLC now. I'm gonna do that real quick. I did beat Murgo's Wet Nurse. So in terms of main story, I just have Gehrman and the Moon Presence left. But in terms of the DLC, I just beat Ludwig. Just beat him. You know, I think aside from Rom, and actually the Cleric Beast as well, everything I've fought, I have beat faster than I have before. Cleric Beast. Ugh. Sorry about that yawn. This is the wrong tone. It should be 40. Cleric Beast I have beat every single time first try. Every time I've tried to fight it. And this time it took me 2 tries. And then Rom, I think I beat it on my second try the first time. And maybe like the 3rd or 4th try the second time I fought Rom. And this time it took me 5 tries. It's just like every once in a while you'll get a random... This didn't change, did it? It didn't change at all. You just get like a random spider like head diving and just like kills you in 1 hit or something. So that was that's a little annoying because I don't think Rom is a very hard fight. All right, we're getting there with this tone. I think because this was about 40%, we can make the eyeball 60%. Oh, you know, I realized I totally forgot too. This is gonna be the one panel with color as well. So we'll have to think about that a little bit too. Because normally it's all black and white. Not this time. And I missed a little bit of detail on the eye. Because I just realized I didn't do anything with the veins. Like the veins of the eye. It's okay. I'm not at a point of no return. I can just add those back in a little later. Let's darken up this and this. And then we start adding tone to our good old monstrous villain. Oh, there's a little piece of hair that didn't get caught there. We'll fix that. We'll fix that. No problem. That's no problem. Get all this filled in. That should be about 20. What was I gonna say? Okay, so Rom. Yeah, I just think it's a bit of an annoying fight. And I don't know, the expectation I had of Rom was just totally different from what I got, I guess. I'm always disappointed in that one because I was like, this is Rom, bro? This is the vacuous spider? Come on. But I guess they already did, like, Duke's Dear Freya, you know? Whatever. But yeah, it felt good because I remember I struggled a lot with Ludwig and Ebridas and Lawrence. Lawrence kicked my ass, man. Lawrence was a bully. Lawrence is one of the only ones that had to like spec into a different weapon to fight him. I had to like get the whirligig, I think, and then like put it on fire, and then that beat him. I think that weapon's kind of broken. It's kind of crazy. At least against what is it called? Beast type enemies. Crazy. But yeah, they didn't kick my butt this time around. The only one I haven't fought yet is Lawrence. Lawrence, I think I just got the skull to fight him if I want to, but I feel like he's better fought after, at least after Lady Maria. And here's the other thing too. So I've learned to parry because I wasn't really parrying at all before. But where I did learn to parry is where I'm at right now, which is the It's like the psychiatric ward where Lady Maria is, right? That's where I finally learned to parry the first time around. And so when I got to Lady Maria, I killed her pretty quick because I was parrying. But I think this time around, even though I've been parrying throughout the whole game, I'm like, nah, I'm going to fight Lady Maria without a parry. I'm going to see how that goes. So that's one of the only ones where I'm like, I'm okay with it being... or like taking longer. Actually, that's his coat, isn't it? Yeah, it's his coat. Alright. Background. It's gonna be a light 30. The water. It's gonna be like an 80 textured. We select 20. Okay. So we can remove some parts from being selected. So we gotta darken him up a little bit. Turn on the details really quick. Help us kind of figure out where to go. All right. Boom. And then we don't want these either. And I think it's 40 that we had, maybe. Could be 60, I don't remember. So yeah, anyways, really loved the Lady Maria fight, but I feel like the I actually want a little bit on the edge here. I feel like the parry made it really easy, and I was kind of disappointed at the end of it all because I was like, dang. That was like a really cool fight. It's like objectively the best hunter fight. And I did just kind of like stomp it because I learned to parry recently. But, you know, oh well. This time around, I won't do that. And maybe she'll stomp me, man. Maybe she will. Because it did seem like it would be hard if I wasn't parrying. So. Alright, I want a soft brush. Or what does the kneaded eraser look like? Oh, it's based on pressure. Actually, that might be the move, man. We'll try it out for this, you know? Yeah, I like this. I like this. This is cool. I love that, like, after using Clip Studio for a while, I'm still discovering basic brushes and stuff like that I'm like, dang, this is actually kind of sick, man. This is sick. I like how this works. That's kind of why I go like, dude, Photoshop industry standard, what are you talking about? Adobe, like, industry standard, what are you talking about? I think one of the big problems, though, is that I think they're going to cement themselves further as an industry standard. Because... Dude, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're just, like, dumb as hell. But I just feel like more designers more and more designers are just embracing AI. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you realize if you do that, you're like enabling yourself to lose your job. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. I think it's crazy. The crap, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Like Adobe basically integrating more of that, putting it into their like purchase like subscription. I think it makes it so much more accepting for like people who don't know anything to essentially. Can I turn that on for you guys? Or that there. Wait, what color did you get? No, it was only for one, huh? Right, turn it up a little bit there. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. I don't know, it just like makes them more established as an industry standard, because who sets the industry standard? It's not really the artist, it's the companies. But I don't know, dude. I've never rallied behind Canva. I think Canva kind of made things a little bit worse for designers a little bit, because it became so much less skilled and people were more accepting of less skillful work. I like democratizing the ability to do stuff, but I think the way Canva went about it was like not good. It basically enabled graphic designers to not have jobs because they were like, oh, the marketer can do it now, and the marketer just does a shit job. Again, all opinions, but the release of Affinity for free, I'm like, please, like, just beat the crap out of Adobe, man. Please beat the crap out of Adobe. Because, honestly, I want Affinity to just be better a little bit. Because if you could paint in Affinity like you can in Photoshop, and you got a strong brush engine like Photoshop, like Photoshop's brush engine isn't the strongest. Also, I think I don't like all of this. I think I turn this all off. I don't like it. It's not that strong. It's not that crazy. Like, I do think that there's some painting platforms out there. They're a little bit expensive, but I've tried their demos and stuff. And they've got some crazy brush engines that are like really strong, very realistic. That's cool. I love that. And even Clip Studios is pretty strong, but it's like not. I think the biggest problem, I think, is that it doesn't utilize. It uses one core, like one CPU core. So that means it can get really laggy at like big brush sizes. You know, whereas I don't experience that as much in Photoshop. I can make something huge in Photoshop. And that's kind of my main problem with like doing something in Clip Studio like that, why I still have to use Photoshop for some of those things. And then Affinities, because I have the old Affinities Studio, not the new one that just came out. I bought the set before. But it's just so much weaker. So much weaker. It just like can't handle painting. And that's disappointing. And then the what is it, Designer. It was missing some features that I was like, dang, I do really wish that it had like such and such feature from Illustrator, because they're actually really helpful and they kind of matter for what I do. Like, I love using the blend feature in Illustrator, and you can see that actually happen in my latest video. You can see me use it a lot, but not a lot. It's like 3 or 4 times. But like, doing that by hand is so tedious, so much work. I'd rather just like not do it. There's a lot of things I'm willing to do by hand, man, but like that one is I feel like it's also just very easy to mess up, you know? It's like trying to make a gradient by hand. Actually, a gradient by hand is still easier, man. It's still easier. I think, like, imagine trying to make a gradient by hand, but in Illustrator. That makes more sense. Like, there's no drawing the gradient. There's no, like, pen pressure. There's no... nothing like that. Okay? It's like, you gotta create a line, and then you color it, and then you create another line directly below that, and you color it. It's like, dang, that's crazy to do. Rather than, like, gradating, like, here. You know, this is easy. This is easy. But... now the blend tool it's clutch, man. It's clutch. It's a cool tool. But the Designer didn't have it. Designer did not have it. There's a few other random little things that Designer didn't have, and I was like, dang, are you serious? So I don't know. We see what happens, but I am rooting for Affinity and Canva take over a little bit more. I don't love Canva, but just like, you know, lesser of two evils in my opinion. And I think that the main thing isn't even that, like, I think if Canva was in Adobe's position that they would do better. I don't think they would do better, actually. But what I do think is that Adobe has not had very serious competition in a long time. There are obviously alternatives, but it hasn't had that serious of competition. It feels like a monopoly in some ways. It's clearly not, because there are viable competitors, but they just are not competing on the same level. And like, you will never almost ever see anything besides like 3D software and Figma being put on like job application requirements. Like, you should be able to use this. You almost never see other stuff. Almost never, man. And that's what I mean, you know? It's like, even if they said like Adobe you know, Studio or equivalent software, okay, you know, that's something, but it will never be that. It will never ever be that. All right, here's what I want to do with the eye. Go really dark here. Okay. That's what I wanted to do there. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Oh, I gotta sneeze. I'm not gonna sneeze. I'm not gonna sneeze. You're trying to fool me. You can't fool me. I'm not gonna sneeze. Yeah, I don't know. I think they need some serious competition, and I hope that Affinity is that. Because nothing else has really come close, you know? It's like, it's only for like niche or very specific types of things. So it's like never something that's as all-encompassing as that. And what they really need is like Here's one I really, really like. I would totally make the entire pivot away from Adobe Studio or Creative Cloud, I guess. Um, if there was something that's like equivalent to After Effects, and wasn't like insanely expensive, or I feel like everything is insanely expensive, you know? Because like I know there's DaVinci for Premiere, but I'm also like, dang, that's pricey, dude. That's pricey as hell. And so I feel like if you use everything and you don't have just like thousands of dollars to blow, dude, it is really hard to like go, I'm gonna pivot away, because it's like, yeah, well, so many things. You use so many things in the Creative Cloud, it becomes harder to pivot away. You know, it's like I use Premiere all the time. I use After Effects here and there. I use Illustrator all the time. I use Photoshop here and there. I use InDesign sometimes even. I use Audition all the time, you know? And I know that there are alternatives to it, but it's like, yeah, the video ones are kind of the ones that are like really holding me back a little bit, because I'm like, dang, I just don't have money to like drop on those. But I can make enough money to, you know, spend $30 for the next month of the subscription. Even Clip Studio, man, I wasn't even the one that paid for it. So it's like, you gotta try a lot of things. There is one called Cavalry that I think is supposed to be a After Effects like alternative, but I've never heard anybody talk about it, man. I've never heard anybody talk about it, and I don't know, like, if you were to get a job working on some of that stuff, I just don't know if people would accept that, you know, that platform. Who knows? Who knows? I think I have like a free version of it. But it seems insanely complicated. I won't lie. It seems very, very complicated. After Effects is complicated, okay? And I'm telling you, I think Cavalry is more complicated than After Effects. So I'm kind of like, oof. Is it really worth my time to learn how to use this thing right now? Because I just don't know if like people would, if jobs would care, you know, if it makes any sense to do that. Who knows? Who knows? Not really something I'm that worried about. It's just something where I've been like, ugh, dude, I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't know. And I don't need to spend the time to like figure it out right now. All right. Don't want to add a ton of halftone to the eyeball here. At least that part. No, I don't want to. Just want to add some down here. We're gonna like gradate it a little bit with the other brushes here. Go light. And go dark. And then we go back to medium real quick. I'm gonna put it in here. Just a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna hit save really quick. I'm going to, wow, I'm already at the end of my time, pretty much. I think I just finished Forb. I finished Forb over here. We work on the color tomorrow, maybe? Because I don't actually have, like, extra time. today because I gotta call somebody and then I gotta get some stuff for dinner and all that good stuff. All that regular everyday stuff. And I'm so hungry right now. So hungry. Somebody feed me. I'm about to eat like crap, dude. I'm about to eat like crap. But then I'll make a decent dinner. I'll make a decent dinner. Let's actually go with the light real quick. Add it over here. Give it a little bit of texture. Dang, this brush is so sick. Dang. Cool. Cool. That's the wrong one. We can go here. All right. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. I like how this is looking. I hope it's gonna be good. I hope so. Gotta see for sure once we add the color. Then we'll know. Might have to do a lot of playing around. It's been quite a while since I've worked with color on like a drawing. Done it a lot on the on that series and that kind of artwork and stuff, but sorry, I just shut up for like a quick second. I'm just very focused. Very focused. The focused fella. They're calling him. Okay, alright. Looking good. I think there's just a small amount of detail I want to add. Actually, we did want to do some level of halftone on this. Let's do that. Just kind of make it look a little bit more 3D, you know? So what do we think about that? That looks good. That looks good. All right. Oh man. Man, I blew through so many weird random topics. I've kind of run out now at this point. I just said so many random things, you know. Oof. A quiet streamer. I think it's funny. Okay, so I say that stuff all the time, like the stupid streamer, the quiet streamer, the bad streamer, or whatever. I just think it's funny to say that. This sounds so like, what do you call it? Like when you self-deprecating, self-deprecating. Okay, it's really I'm really not trying to be. I'm really not trying to be because I'm not trying to make fun of myself. I just think it's funny to call yourself a streamer and like ironic when you know there's like no one watching. When you know there's like no one watching and you're, because it's like whether or not you have anyone watching, you should act like you like someone is, right? Because then when somebody pops in, then they're at least entertained and you're not just sitting there going, you know, it's like you're doing something and you're talking and you're giving them a reason to maybe engage if they're willing to, or just give them something to listen to. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, I mean, anybody who's tried streaming knows that, okay? But I think it's funny to call yourself a streamer when you know that there's no one there, because like the reality is that like whether or not somebody like comes in, like it doesn't matter, you know, because it's like if no one comes in, then whether or not I'm streaming doesn't change anything. I could be doing the exact same thing and just not be streaming and it would be the same thing because nobody would see it. But just being real, okay? And like again, I'm not doing this so people see it. If they want to see it, they can. It's available, but the point of doing this isn't for that. The point of doing this is to just like have a record of it for my own damn self. And if people want to come in and chat and have fun or whatever, I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it, and I would love that. But just saying that you're a streamer when you know that's the case, dude, oh my god, it's, I don't know, it's scratching an itch of ironic humor in my brain that not a lot of things is scratching, you know? Just think it's a little funny. I think it's a little funny. Like calling yourself a podcaster and you have like zero views. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, dude, yeah, that's fucking dumb. And when I was young, I would do stupid stuff like that too. You know, I'd be like, yeah, no, I got a business. And it's like, no, dude, you have a Facebook business page. You know? Whatever. You know, fake it till you make it, though. Fake it till you make it, I guess, you know? Nothing really wrong with it. I just think it's a little silly. It's a little bit silly. Not a lot of silly, just a little bit. Okay, so we're like done. We're like done now. So, oh man. Oh, sorry, I'm stretching. Hi, kitty. It's not quite your dinner time. You just been fed early the last couple days. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'll feed you a little bit earlier, but not yet. Yeah, I see you smacking your lips. I see you. Okay. Well, that is basically ending perfectly on time. Because that is all the time I have, and that panel is basically done. We just need to work on some color. And honestly, I don't fully know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know for sure, but we'll figure it out. And then I think there's like, I need to do the details on the veins. Basically both eyes. The actual eye that's like popping out, and then Forbes' eye. Forbes' eye also needs a little bit of, just a small little touch. I'll do it some other time though. Tomorrow maybe. Let's see. What's going on tomorrow? I guess I can. Yeah, we'll do that. In the meantime, if you are around, check out the latest video. It is about the color green. It is about a poster I made dedicated to the color green. And there will be a short coming out today in regards to that as well. If you'd be so kind, please leave a like. Subscribe, hit the bell because I'm a cool guy and you like cool guys, I hope. Or if you don't like cool guys, I'm uncool and you can, we can hang out or something. I don't know. Digitally, of course. Yeah, that's it for me, Nibblings. I'll see you later.